Hi, this is Les-Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. The NFL saved itself from some embarrassment today when it decided against giving extra draft picks to the teams that actually follow and add to the Rooney Rule. While the Browns have been mostly terrible since they came back in 1999, their record is better than anyone in the NFL in hiring minorities. But the way planned to give bonus picks to teams is ridiculous. What if the Browns fired a minority coach? Would they lose draft picks to other teams because they didn't replace them with another minority? Here's the best way to fix the Rooney Rule. This is year 2020. Let's get rid of it. Then let's bring in Bud Shaw. More Sports and Les-Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les-Levine, it's a Tuesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les-Levine into our 24th consecutive year, seen exclusively and powered by cleveland.com. With that, we bring in Bud Shaw. Bud, I didn't suggest that you replace the Rooney Rule, people. I was just suggesting maybe we'll get rid of that rule, then we'll bring you in to do the show tonight.
Yeah, I didn't get the idea of, or let me say, I got the idea of giving a draft pick or improving draft position. I just thought it was a really terrible idea and a bad look. I mean, you're going to make it look as if teams are doing things for the wrong reason if they're hiring people. And at least now, you're under the impression that when teams hire a minority candidate, it's for at least for the right reasons. Now, they may not always interview them for the right reasons, but certainly when they get around to hiring them, it's been on merit. And that's a good.
When the Rooney Rule first started, they almost had like a cottage industry of African-American coaches whose job was to go around to 4 or 5 or 6 different teams and be interviewed and say all the right things like, well, it's great to be interviewed. I learned how to do that. That was a phony deal anyway.
Yeah, and I don't know if I probably would disagree with you a little bit. I don't know if getting rid of it improves the situation. How does getting rid of it improve the situation?
Well, I guess I'm saying here we are in 2020. We're adults now. We should be able to handle this situation without being almost forced to hire certain ethnic groups. Just go out and find the best person. You'd think that at this day and age, there's enough proof out there that if a bad coach is a bad coach, no matter what his background is.
Yeah, certainly there's enough. I think there's more than enough proof that minority coaches can be every bit as good as other coaches. I wish there were a way to maybe expose my minority candidates, both coordinators and head coaches, quarterback coaches, to owners in a different way. And I don't know what that is. I'm not suggesting like a cocktail party. I just mean if there was a way that they cross paths more often, then you might find owners more willing. Some owners. I don't think owners are unwilling. I just think that they tend to rely on coaches around them and people around them who may be the same color as them, and then it becomes almost a parochial situation. Sure. Where if you know somebody, they come in the door with having night accolades already spread about them in the building, whereas a minority coach who just shows up on somebody's list as a Rooney candidate might walk in and the owner doesn't know anything about him, and his chances then of getting that job are probably not great.
I think they did something right, and I don't know how many years ago it was when they opened up jobs within organizations at an entry, almost at an entry level, and basically doing what you're doing. You get people into the workplace, and 5, 6, 7, 8 years later, they're one of the group.
Right, and how many times, Les, have we heard the story of a Browns head coach who gets hired and his roots go all the way back to serving pizza to the media in Berea. I mean, that happened with Mangini.
Yeah,
it's happened with other guys where it happened with Belichick was just a grunt who got into an organization and started doing quality control and build a reputation of a guy who was a tireless worker. And if they could figure out a way to do that, you'd get more more familiarity, and I think the familiarity would take care of the problem.
Right. All right, let's talk a little baseball here. The owners have a proposal to the Baseball Players Association, led by Tony Clark now. Clark was a first baseman with the Detroit Tigers back in the day, and he got some criticism last time around, last labor deal, and now it looks like he's trying to make up for it. There are 67 pages involved here in the owner's proposal: specific health and screening and distancing protocols, 82-game regional schedule with a universal DH. I'm not sure why the DH is such an important deal here. It's a higher paid job, which the unions would like. It's better for the game. I would just think that there's not much argument about that. Talking about a 30-man active roster with a 20-player taxi squad. And I thought, well, okay, they could travel with the team, but there won't be any travel, so I'm not sure what that. The 20-person taxi squad must have to do with less minor league teams out there, and 14 teams in the postseason, and then a 50-50 revenue split for owners and players, distribution to be determined by the MLBA. Now, here's the thing. Baseball has never had a 50-50 split, never had a split at all, as far as I know. It is common in other sports. NFL players get 48%, NHL 50%, NBA players get 49 to 51, depending on the revenue. And Tony Clark says that if it's called revenue, if there's a revenue sharing plan, a non-starter, and revenue sharing would be unprecedented in Major League Baseball. So who's got the advantage here, other than both aren't going to be the fans aren't going to be happy with either one of them?
Yeah, I don't know that anybody has the advantage. I guess if I had to say, I would say the players have the advantage because they've always seemed to have the advantage in baseball. Even when there have been work stoppages, the owners have never gotten what they wanted out of those negotiations with players. So until I see it happen, I guess I got to assume that the players are still strong enough to stick together. But anytime you use the word unprecedented, if you're Tony Clark, well, unprecedented times may call for unprecedented changes, or steps. And this is certainly an unprecedented time.
Wouldn't you think, without taking sides here, that they would, because of what this is in 2020, that just get out? I thought when they're talking about playing the game, I was just assuming that they were waiting to get the ruling from the scientists and the doctors and all that stuff. I assume that's what it is. It didn't dawn on me they had a labor negotiation to tie into this. Wouldn't you think sensible people would just say, let's put this aside and go ahead and do whatever you have to do next in the off season?
Yeah, certainly from a standpoint, a perception standpoint, that would certainly be the best thing for both sides, because the last thing fans want to hear right now, especially fans that have lost jobs or forced to stay at home, taking pay cuts, furloughs, whatever else is happening in their life, they certainly don't look at these guys as bereaved parties. That's for sure.
When you take a look at this and the surrounding sports, let's say football, which is going full speed ahead, it looks like it anyway. The Browns, for example, announced their actual exhibition games schedule. And by the way, I don't want to hear them say, and Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be here for the 4th exhibition game. You can't promote that, can you? I'm guessing Tom Brady wouldn't play in Game 4, but yeah. They're going ahead as if everything is normal. Even basketball looks more positive about playing out the season here. And how bad would that be if baseball, the summer game, which would be the first one chronologically that could be ready to go, how will they justify that? I mean, baseball's in such trouble anyway. This only makes it worse.
Well, some of us who were around here in '94, remember a lost World Series to this kind of haggling over money. And I guess baseball, maybe I thought had learned its lesson after that. Certainly the game came back after that. Whether steroids were part of the reason why it did or not, it certainly came back in a big way. But I think it's a fool's position to think that killing another season or letting another season die, I'll say, that they'd be able to come back from this too. I wouldn't want to take that chance if I were either side in this.
No, and you're coming back off the Houston Astros and Boston Red Sox It's just a bad look, no question about it. When we get back, Bud, we're going to spend some time looking at a new coach for the Cleveland on the assistants list of the Browns, who you happen to know. I just found out. Fans are going to like what they hear from this guy. We'll do that when we get back. Did you know the Ohio Lottery has paid out over $1 billion in winnings in the last 6 months? People are winning in record numbers. Winning is happening all around the state of Ohio. Play an Ohio Lottery game and play it today. More Sports and Les-levine continues, powered by cleveland.com, facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine. New content posted each and every day. We post it, you respond to it, we put it on the air that night. More Sports and Les-levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Lesmerises, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had 2 choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Welcome back. More Sports and Les-levine. Bud Shaw with us tomorrow night. It'll be the D-Man Dennis Maniloff. On Thursday, Mary Kay Cabot will join us. Looking forward to that. Bud Shaw is with us. Bud, I know you got to spend some time with this gentleman. We'll talk about it after we run it down. We're talking about Chad O'Shea, who's the wide receiving coach for the Cleveland Browns. Spent years with Kansas City, special teams coach. You see it all. The Vikings, and then New England under Bill Belichick. Total of 8 years there, and 9 years actually. So he was coaching Gronk and that Edelman and that group. We'll talk about what he's going to have to deal with here. He has virtual training camp advice. I don't think I'd ever think that I would say that. Virtual training camp advice. Any idea what that is, Bud?
No, again, I'll use that word, unprecedented.
In the unprecedented 2020 season. So he has some real, not virtual tips for rookies here. Number 1, get open. Number 2, catch the ball. And number 3, compete in the run game. And he says if you can't do the first 2, you won't last in the league. And if you don't do the last one, you're not going to last with the Browns. So my final piece of advice is shut up and work. Yeah, it's a good thing I pre-read that. So you actually know this guy?
Yeah, a friend of mine is a real estate guy on this side of town, and he met Chad, sold him a house, and we got together. This was long before social distancing was a thing, so restaurants were still open, and I had the pleasure of his company for a couple of hours one night. Very good guy.
I know
anybody that past 9 years, Bill Belichick, is a hard worker. And he's a guy who went to the Dolphins with friend Brian Flores when Flores got the head coaching job, and was as stunned as many others were down there that he got fired after one season.
Now, so he's here, and that's great. But what that also means is he's got to take care of Odell-Beckham-Jr. and some other people. But he had Gronkowski, so how tough can that be?
Well, I think it's a little different of a situation, Les, because I think in New England those guys, even while Gronk acted up off the field, I don't think any of that spilled into the locker room. I don't think Gronk was one of those guys that if he got 3 catches on a particular game was in the offensive coordinator's ear about getting the ball more. I might be wrong about that, but I don't think that Gronk's craziness spilled over onto the sidelines as it did, I think, with this group last year. And that doesn't mean these guys aren't good competitors or don't want to work hard or give it their all. But I do think it's a little bit different of a situation. And with having Belichick, I think that helped his assistant coaches too reach players, and I think what Chad O'Shea is saying to rookies, he's a pretty smart guy. I bet you he wants the veterans to see the same thing and take that advice to heart just as well.
Now, was the house that he bought? Of course, it was in Strongsville because that's where all the potential coaches buy them here in Cleveland.
All right, they all move next to the house that's still for sale that Bill Cowher is thinking of buying.
Era Parsegian, I thought was supposed to buy one there also.
I spent the first 10 minutes of the dinner explaining to Chad O'Shea why his name gets so many double takes in this town. Then I told him all about Chad OJ, so he was interested in hearing that story and his OJ's role in the '97 World Series.
Right. I was just thinking, what a lucrative job must be to be the team real estate agent.
Well, my buddy doesn't work. He doesn't get all the coaches from the team. If he did, he probably would be retired and living in the Caymans right now.
So, all right, with your vast experience here, did Chad O'Shea come in? Did he question you at all, or was he just trying to be a nice guest at dinner?
Yeah, I mean, he had heard some things about the town, what kind of a football town it was, and he. I forget, there was some really kind of minor thing that we all take for granted here where Browns fans turned out in droves for something. And I wish I could remember the exact thing it was, but that got his attention, and he said to his wife, like, wow, this is a different kind of place. This is the place that I've been hearing about. These fans are really, really excited about this team and the chance of being good. So, he's a guy that's going to be demanding, I think, of players. And I think he saw some of the things that happened here last year and realized that, he didn't say this out loud to me, but I think he saw that this was a very interesting situation when you had Baker-Mayfield with, friendly faces in the quarterback room that he knew from college and that had worked with him. When he saw the LSU receiver coach who knew those guys back from college, knew Landry and Beckham back from college. And I just think in New England, it's just a different deal. It's like they're not that it's adversarial, but coaches really hold guys accountable and push them and push them and push them on a daily basis there. And I don't think that was always the case here last year.
You think that the event he was talking about with his wife had to do with the night they turned the lights on down at First Energy Stadium and practiced the coin flip?
That might be it.
Yeah.
Actually, I do remember what it was, but I think it's something I better tell you off air.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm going to take a break so I can hear that. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Bud Shaw is with us. Northeast Factory Direct. 3 great locations, east, west, and to the south. The south, of course, being in Macedonia, Lakeland Boulevard, and West 140th Street, and northeastfactorydirect.com with the guaranteed low price for 1 year. Alex does that for anybody who finds a lower price after what they bought. He'll return you that money immediately. Let's take a break. We'll come on back. We'll find out what Bud wants to tell me secretly. More Sports and Les-levine, exclusively powered by cleveland.com.
Celebrate Naturestone's 30-year anniversary with a free Naturestone floor. During 2020, we will be giving away 30 free floors to 30 very lucky customers to say thank you for making Naturestone the best concrete flooring solution for garages, basements, and more. Call or visit naturestone.com today to register to win, and we'll send you a copy of our new buyer's guide absolutely free. There's no purchase necessary. Winners will be chosen monthly. With over 30 million square feet installed for more than 60,000 customers, it's easy to see why I always say it's not just a floor. Wow, it's Naturestone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Time for a How Come Quickie. But how come when you're second in line in the drive-thru, the guy behind you honks his horn and tells you to move up?
I have had that happen, actually.
Who hasn't?
Yeah.
Who hasn't? Now, what do you do if you order something and you order for yourself, and then you get in and then you get out of the line and you start driving, and then you realize they gave you the order for the guy with the family of 7?
Don't worry, Les. If you start to get concerned about, forgetting things or walking into a room and not remembering why you were there, I know a guy who was going to go to the post office to mail a letter, and he was hungry, so he stopped at a McDonald's drive-thru along the way. And when he got to the mailbox, he mailed the sandwich instead of the letter. So that hasn't happened to me.
Did it come back with postage due?
That hasn't happened to me yet, but I'm not ruling out the possibility.
Oh, it will. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. When you think of football and college presidents, you usually think of Gordon Gee, right? Former president of the Ohio State.
First guy that comes to mind for me, really. In all seriousness, he's the first guy that comes to mind.
Okay. So did you hear what well, what's his most famous line regarding with Ohio State football?
Well, calling a tie with Michigan a win, which...
Yeah, not only a win, the greatest win in Ohio State history. 1992, that tie is one of our greatest wins ever. Wow. All right. So he's, as you know, he's now the president of West Virginia University. He takes care of Bobby Huggins over there. Listen to this stuff. Have you heard this yet?
No.
We need to get over the panic. We need to be calm about this thing. It's here. We have to deal with it. If one of our athletes gets the coronavirus, we can't just shut the whole thing down. We have to learn to control that part of what we're doing. Someone is going to come down with coronavirus and let's be clear about it. But the question is, how do we handle it? Do we have isolation rooms? Do we put them in a quarantine? Then the final thing in terms of college football, is how do we make sure that our own team and the visiting team both are given the same opportunity to protect themselves from the virus, but also to be able to play the game in a safe environment? That's kind of strong for a sitting president, isn't it?
Yeah, I understand the concern about this, especially in college. I mean, I think you and I have talked about this. We can get. I'll pause here for all the snarky jokes about how these players are all paid on the side by their schools, but in all seriousness, you're going to ask these guys to go out and play a sport and risk catching this virus, and for not much money, right? It's not like the pros can make that determination for themselves. Hey, I can collect $3 million in salary, and I'm willing to do that.
Well, it goes one step further. It goes a step further because what you're asking, let's say at Ohio State, 100 players. You're asking 100 players to be out there, but you won't ask 100, fans. Scientists, fans, but for sure the students who are there. You're not doing anything to protect them, and yet you're saying, all right, 100 football players, go get them, dot the I at halftime.
Yeah, that's why I think and even in baseball, there are just so many obstacles to get past here. Even one more thing on the baseball thing, Les, while they've exchanged this proposal, they still haven't really reached out to healthcare experts in those cities to find out, what they think needs to be done to make this all safe. And I know they say they're waiting for a final proposal to do that, but there's a lot to clear up here. It's really hard for me to believe that this is a possibility of a start in July 4th. I'm starting to think that they just won't be ready to do that.
You're talking baseball now.
Yeah, baseball. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the other. How about you see some resolution? You're indoors in basketball. Do you see any reason to finish this season with number one with all the teams involved, including the Cavaliers, or just saying, okay, the top 8 and you top 8 in the standings, you're in the playoffs right now. You see either of those things happening?
I just think it would be if you're going to say that it's safe enough for players who are in the playoffs or would qualify for the playoffs right now to come back and play, and then extend the playoffs for whatever reason. I think it's unfair to the players on teams like the Cavaliers that were playing well at the end of the season for them in their development year, and to say to them that they can't come back I just think that's unfair. I think you either have to open it up to everybody and let them play for 2 or 3 weeks to try to jockey for playoff position, or not come back at all. So I just don't think it's fair to let teams come back, only teams that would figure into a playoff series right now.
How about the NFL and college football? Do you see the NFL? Now, the NFL today, at least the Browns made their announcement of what their first 2 exhibition games will be on the road, last 2 at home. They'll probably promote that it's Tom Brady in Tampa Bay, but let's be real, he's not going to be playing in Game 4 of the exhibition season. So, do you think that season goes off as planned after, as we're talking about that date? And what about college? Do you see it also going at that start date, or do you see them actually moving it to spring?
I think there's a better chance that college gets moved to spring than the NFL doesn't happen. I think the NFL, it just feels like that momentum is there. People, as we saw last weekend in certain bars around town, when the restrictions were lifted just a little bit, the horse got out of the barn and was galloping away. And I think it would be hard right now to go back unless there's a real huge spike in coronavirus and in serious infections and hospitalizations. I just think it's a hard thing to go back now and say that there's not going to be an NFL season. It feels to me like all the momentum is building toward that. I still don't understand how they're going to be able to pull it off. If we're worried about baseball players handling the same ball, how would you even try to stop in a football game guys from contaminating each other if somebody is positive with the virus? And I know you can give them tests, but I know people who've been tested positive for coronavirus who were test negative to start out. I know people who've taken, you feel a fever coming on and you take Tylenol and it suppresses your fever. So if you get examined by somebody taking your temperature, that's not really proof that you're not asymptomatic and carrying the virus. So I'm not smart enough to figure out how this is all going to happen. Maybe Gordon Gee is, and maybe he's right. No, seriously, maybe he's right.
Yeah.
That there are going to be infections, and it's just a matter of
what do you do about it?
How you deal with it and how safe you can make those players and those families feel about this.
Are you ready for NFL flag football?
Yeah, how about that? Yeah, and you'd have to launder the flags between each possession. So I don't know.
It's college. You go to the dorm, you get a whole bunch of quarters, and you throw them in. And do they still have those?
I think they do. I mean, what do you think? Do you think there's going to be an NFL season, and do you think there's an equal chance that college football season will happen?
I think the NFL will play, but I don't think on the date they're talking about. I think they're going to probably not kick it off till mid-October. I think that college football is going to. Yeah, I see it going to spring rather than fall, but I'd like to be wrong on that one.
Yeah.
216-575-0403. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's I find myself being, critical of certain things that are, even from a healthcare standpoint, some of the announcements are made out of Columbus and they seem vague. One day it's wear a mask, one day it's you don't really have to, we won't make it mandatory. And it gets a little frustrating, but I also understand that people are going through this for the first time and they're trying to juggle 100 things, and including an economy that's tanking. So it's not easy to come up with a hard and fast solution for how to deal with something that we've never had to deal with before.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Bud Shaw with us. If you want to email us during the show, if you want to get a quickie in now, you can do that. And that, of course, would be at real-les-levine@gmail.com. Dennis Manoff tomorrow night, Mary Kay Cabot on Thursday. Explore your interests, find a program that puts you on a path to a bright future with Tri-C, which offers more than 1,000 courses in over 140 career and technical programs. Go to tri-c.edu for more information. Bud and I return in a moment. More Sports and Les-levine, powered by cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Brown's Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get text sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week. And it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. it takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
it takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
This date in sports history, May 19th, 1910, Cy Young of the Indians wins his 500th game, beating Washington 5-4 in 11 innings. And that was in Cleveland. Of course, it's mandatory to say Cy Young never won the Cy Young Award. They should have named the Cy Young Award after his most losing games also. He lost 313.
Yeah, that was back when they allowed you to stay in the game, right?
11 innings in that one. I don't think he had a pitch count.
Yeah, I remember when we did the All-Star event at the convention center, and I talked to Fergie Jenkins, and he had, I think, 37 starts one season, 32 complete games.
Wow.
So it's certainly a different world.
Then his arm fell off the next year, but that's a different story. Hey, Doug Lesmerises was here last night, and we had a list of the worst 100 coaches in NFL history. Where do you think? Well, Romeo Crennel, where do you think he was? This is in NFL history.
In NFL history?
Yeah. Yeah, I would think in the 40s and 50s they might have had some worse ones, but this is the modern era, I guess. Romeo Crennel, out of 100, what do you think he was listed?
So would the worst be 99 and a?
No. The worst would be number one.
Okay.
Excuse me. Hugh Jackson would be number one.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Romeo was in the 50 or 60 range.
They got him as 29.
Really? I thought
he had a good year at. First of all, he had a good year here, but he also had a good year in Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, he could have made. He went 10-6 here. They should have or could have made the playoffs. However you want to look at it that year.
Right.
I wouldn't put him in there.
Pat Shurmur.
I would say somewhere around 15 to 20.
All right, good. They had him as 14, and probably it's because it might have been New York based. They might not have even known he coached for the Browns.
Yeah, probably not.
That's
things
possible.
go in New York.
All right, number one, undisputed.
It'd have to be Hugh Jackson or Freddie Kitchens.
Freddie Kitchens isn't even on this list. He was not named as one of the 99 worst coaches in the NFL.
Are one and done? Is there any other one and done guys on there? Maybe that's the criteria.
I don't have the whole list. What do you think, if you can recall without looking at notes, starting with Chris Palmer in 1999, who do you think should have gotten a better deal out of all the coaches up through Freddie Kitchens?
On that list?
Yeah, no. And for example, Chris Palmer went 5-27. In 2 years he was gone. What? Anybody else? The list. I could read the name of the coaches. You tell me who you think in another situation might have become pretty good. Butch Davis, Romeo Crennel, Eric Mangini, Shurmur, Chudzinski, Pettin, Palmer, or Jackson, and Kitchens. Which one got a raw deal by getting fired with a bad reputation?
Well, I think Mangini could have been good in another situation.
I agree with that.
Listen, he ran the ball like crazy at the end of that one season to try to win games and keep his job,
which he did.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure that was. He wasn't quite as prehistoric offensively as that season made him look. I thought Butch Davis had some possibilities as a head coach, but he didn't see the folly in associating himself. I don't mean personally with Pete Garcia. I mean with just a guy that didn't have any NFL real experience either. So you had these two guys coming in from college, and they just, they just narrowed their focus was so narrow from compared to the guys that they were competing with in the NFL, who, who'd had much broader experiences.
Yeah,
so I think from a coaching standpoint, he did okay and may have done okay somewhere else if he had a different NFL GM.
Yeah, he was picking players that he either recruited at one time or actually played for him. All right, we had I'll ask you our Facebook question before we answer the fans' answer. Who are you looking for to have a big year for the Browns? Who needs to have a big year for them to succeed? The obvious one is the quarterback, Baker-Mayfield.
Yeah, I hesitate to say it because he was having a big year before everything went to pot last year, but I would say Myles-Garrett. I think he's the most gifted guy on either side of the ball. I think he's got, as crazy as it sounds, probably a 20-sack season in him somewhere. And I think this is the time that he, especially coming off last year when he really left his team high and dry. This is the time for him to be, the kind of all-pro who everybody just pencils in every year for the next 5 or 6 years.
All right, so the Facebook question of the year, who are you looking for to have a big year for the Browns? Glenn Berger says Baker-Mayfield. He had a very good rookie season. I'm hoping he can repeat that in his third year. The NFL is a quarterback-driven league, so if you have a productive QB, your team will succeed. Let's go Browns. Then you have Chris Ard. I would have to say Baker and OBJ, the two biggest names and the two biggest disappointments last season. Andy Mee says OBJ. He was supposed to be the piece to help the Browns over the top, or at least into legitimate playoff contention last season after a promising finish to 2018. His personality would have been more welcomed if the production is there. And finally, Larry Pantages says offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt. Here's hoping that Lindy Infante's success in 86 and 87 can be his role model. Yeah?
Well, do we think Van Pelt's going to be calling plays?
They haven't said yet. Should he? I don't think he should. I mean, I think Van Pelt should.
I just don't know enough about his offensive background, but I know you are a believer and have compiled some pretty good evidence that says rookie head coaches especially shouldn't take on both jobs. So
it's tough enough. And you have a fall guy if it doesn't work out.
And to get back to some of those answers, certainly I would have. I see the need for Baker-Mayfield to have that kind of a bounce back season. I was thinking other than quarterback. So certainly Baker-Mayfield, if he doesn't play well this year, if he's more of what we saw last year than what we saw at the end of his rookie year, this team is still going to have trouble winning more games than it loses.
Bud Shaw is here, east, west, and of course to the south. That's where you're going to find the 3 locations of Northeast Factory Direct, but the 4th location, northeastfactorydirect.com. That's where you got to go. Alex has been in the business 20 years now. He started out in his garage with one piece of furniture. Next thing you know, he's built it up into 20 years and 3 great locations, one of the great success stories in northeastern Ohio. Sokolowski's University Inn, you're going to want to go to their website and they'll give you all the information of the rules and when they're going to open and what they're going to do and what you need to do. Check it out, Sokolowski's University Inn. We'll come back in a moment. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Your home is your most important investment, and your basement is the go-to part of your home. It's your children's rec room. It's where your family and friends spend time together. It's much more than just a basement. Now is the perfect time to add beauty and value to your home with an authentic NatureStone basement floor. And every NatureStone floor comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. For a limited time, get our exclusive mini pearl stone for as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's NatureStone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Welcome back. More Sports and Les-levine on cleveland.com tomorrow night. Dennis Maniloff on Thursday. It'll be Mary Kay Cabot. Bud Shaw is with us tonight. And by the way, directly I'm talking to Mr. Gullible. We will have quickies tonight. And I knew, Bud, last night we had very technical difficulties. They're called printer letdown. So
errors, yeah.
We couldn't give them. And I said, when it happened, I said to Brian in the back room, I said, I know that Mr. Gullible is going to complain, and he's going to say that I'm boycotting them, and I'm holding out, using my strength against them to be better, to perform better on their quickies, right? I mean, there's nothing worse than on a night you're here when we don't have good quickies. But I must admit, I must admit that some of them we had to toss them out. I use poetic license here, the power of the pen, as we call it, in the editorship room, and we had to knock some of them out. And there's just a high standard for how come quickies.
Well, I mean, this is left over from the last time, so.
Yeah. Excellent. You better be good this time because you're not going to be here next week. You're taking a week's vacation on us. Yeah. Having a lot more fun than we'll be having, I can tell you that right now. Did you get the all the Michael Jordan stuff? Did you get all 10 episodes?
I didn't watch all of it, but I certainly have followed it. And the last episode with the backstory on Steve Kerr, I thought was really powerful stuff. He's long been one of my favorite people in sports. That goes back to his playing days here, and knowing what he's dealt with in his life, I thought I like him even more for that.
I won't go into it specifically, but he was from Los Angeles and was playing at Arizona, and that situation, he was at the foul line in a game against UCLA, and some of the students were chanting pretty bad stuff, and that's about as bad as I've seen on an athletic field.
Yeah, certainly. You know, the only thing that I'll say that it confirmed my belief that Jordan is the greatest player that I've seen, and I know you could put together a LeBron so-called documentary, and you would come away just as impressed with LeBron's skill set, maybe even more impressed. I just think from a competitive desire standpoint and single-mindedness, I don't think the game has seen the likes of Jordan before. That doesn't mean that I like him very much personally.
Right.
And the fact that he had final say on some of these things because he couldn't stand the idea of being, somebody being able to criticize anything he did bothers me a little bit. But I thought it made for some great viewing, especially at a time we were starved for
it did. I don't think he dealt well with the gambling issue. They kind of glossed over it. They showed the check that he wrote for $1.3 million, and that was it. But I was going to ask you that. Did you change your mind on him over LeBron? And is a part of that because LeBron, in the beginning at least, wanted to be liked by all the great players in the game and even the great players in the history of the game? And Jordan, while he might have cared about that, didn't seem to care as much. It was more about the competition to win the whole thing and continue to win. And when you think about it, 6 out of 7 like he did, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think with Jordan, that self-motivating factor was there from the start. And with LeBron, I think he had to grow into it. I think you're right, Les. I mean, I remember a game, and I wish I could tell you the circumstances, but do you remember a game where Ilgauskas got banged on the head and was bleeding? Was it against the Miami Heat? I can't remember exactly. There were times when you thought that LeBron would come to, not that he had to be the enforcer, but he was certainly the voice and the face of the team. And you would think that he would get involved more from a team standpoint and be a protector. And I didn't always see that. I think he he grew into the criticism after he went to Miami, when he went from wanting to be liked all the time to knowing that he wasn't going to be liked when he got into these arenas. And he took it right on the chin from a lot of people that felt like he did the Cavaliers wrong. And I think from that point on, he had to develop like some scar tissue over that. And I think he was a much more much tougher competitor after that than he was before that.
You know what I thought was interesting is you're talking about 25 years ago or whatever that number is. You kind of forget, you know some of the numbers involved, but you forget. I forgot that there were two series against Utah. Now, I should have known that, but the time is, you've seen so many games, and yeah, I didn't quite remember which shot that Kerr made, and he was wide open, by the way. Top of the foul.
They were so good for so long that I've had the same. I was actually at the game against Portland when he did the shrug. Yeah. And I had to think back over that to remember what the circumstances were leading up to that game. He had heard, people were starting to talk about Clyde. Some were, not many, but some were starting to talk about Clyde Drexler as maybe the best player overall in the game and best offensive player. There was a lot of talk that Jordan didn't have the outside game and all that. And what he did in that game was just phenomenal.
Incredible. And the other thing is, when he played hurt, and he did miss some shots. You assume he made every shot. No, he missed some in there, and but he didn't stop him from trying for the next one. I just thought it was very well done, knowing fully well that he had control over everything that came out. But I think he portrayed his father in a great way, and I think you sort of understood how he treated some of his own teammates the way he treated them. So.
Yeah, I would like, and I would expect that we will someday see that length of documentary on LeBron James's life. It may not have as much game detail as this one did, but let's just think of where this kid came from and what he accomplished. I mean, it almost just deserves to be a Hollywood movie. But I think when you see him and what he did, and it'll jog our memories the same way. I think some will be able to make that case that from an overall skill standpoint, he was the equal of Jordan or possibly even a little better.
And the thing about Jordan that I forget is how small he was when he first came. I mean, you see the LeBron pictures in high school, and that's what Michael Jordan looked like. We forget that.
Yeah, for sure. Jordan came in, just kind of this skinny kid, and same way Kobe came into the league.
All right, we're going to come back one more time. We'll check out some quickies and more. More Sports and Les-levine continues with Bud Shaw exclusively here on cleveland.com.
Your home is your most important investment, and your garage is the entrance to your home. It's where your kids come in from school. It's where your family and friends gather together. It's much more than just a garage. Now is the perfect time to add beauty and value to your home with an authentic NatureStone garage floor. And every NatureStone floor comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. For a limited time, get our exclusive gray-brown blend stone for as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's NatureStone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
This date in Les-Levine history, May 19th, 1959, Les is eliminated from the Roland School spelling bee when he misspelled the word misspelled. Now, Bud, first of all, you can give me a grade on that if you want, as a how come quickie.
Well, it hits close to home because that's one word that I still have to double check every time I use it. Yeah.
Would it have been funnier if I misspelled when I said what the word was, or if I just misspelled the whole thing, from a comedic standpoint?
If you had misspelled the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, it looks like John Patrick is on vacation, but Big Ed is not. How come a computer once beat me in chess, but was no match for me at kickboxing? Again, give your ruling, give me your definition of how you give these grades.
Since the word quickie is in the title, I like them to be brief. So when they meander at all, I start to downgrade for that. I also downgrade if I can see what's coming. Okay.
Right. Did you see that one coming?
Didn't see that one coming. I didn't think it was hilariously funny.
Right.
But I'm going to give it a 7.0.
7.0. All right, we got an associate professor writing in of art, history, and humanities. That's James from Lakeland Community College. He says, how come when I dated the pole vaulter, she got over me? See, it's a pole vaulter.
Yeah.
It's
what
do you got?
I would
8.0.
like this one, 8.0. I would like that one, even if it wasn't funny, just because I like the idea of a professor.
Well, yeah. I'm going to like the idea that Frank comes in from Akron because I believe it's complimentary. You be the judge. Les, how come if I don't watch SportsCenter at 6, I settle for less? It's 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. He says, all right, do I watch SportsCenter or do I go to More Sports and Les-Levine? I'm giving it a higher grade than you are, 7.0.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 7. It's okay. It's in the running.
Mr. Gullible, coming from behind this. Oh, by the way, this is Secretariat won the Preakness on this date in 1973.
Wow.
Mr. Gullible says, how come my friend's wife drove him to drink, but my wife made me walk?
All I can say, Mr. Gullible, is that Les told me to downgrade you with a 4.0 because it's a plot to.
That's funny because at first glance that looks like 9.0.
Yeah, it did look kind of funny, didn't it?
Yeah.
Now I'm going to give that one. I'm going to give that one the same grade I gave the professor.
So we have a tie.
Why can't I figure out where to put those? There it is.
You just had 6 or 7 quickies and you put it the wrong way each time.
I know. You think here we go. Now I got it.
Work on that for next time. All right. You got a final comment?
Is that it?
That's it.
There's no more? Okay.
Well, you can keep going, but I'm going to leave.
No, I just meant from a how come quickie standpoint, then it ends in a tie.
It's all right.
Between Mr. Gullible and the college professor.
Well, I mentioned Ara Parsegian before, the late era, and so you remember Michigan State and Notre Dame, and that game ended in a tie. Oh, yeah. Brian, do you have mine? Look at that, Bud's senior picture.
When? Okay, so
do they have mine?
All these people were putting their senior pictures on Facebook to show support for the class of 2020, and I want you to know that I did not do that, and that's why.
Is that your high school senior picture?
That's my high school senior picture, and I'm pretty sure I was ironing my hair at that time in my life.
You also look like you're 13.
Well, I was, I graduated high school when I was 13.
Look at that. Look at that. That's legitimate 13.
The Brill cream is still dripping off of that.
Here, let me give you some. Oh, big news Thursday. Big news.
Didn't you understand the pitch that a little dab will do you, not a big dab?
Big news about Thursday.
What?
I'm getting a haircut. This is the worst.
Is it going to be part of the show, or is it going to be on the show?
No.
Oh, all right.
Well, listen, my barber hasn't been able to cut anybody's hair in a long time. You think he's going to give up an hour to come do it on the show?
Yeah, well, I got mine cut this week, Les. I know you were going to say something about it, but...
Yeah, I can tell if I need makeup on top here. All right, have a great whatever you're going to do, and I know what you're going to do is going to be tremendous. Enjoy it very much, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
I appreciate it, Les. Thanks for having me, and see you guys in a few weeks.
All right, stay safe out there. Bud Shaw with us. All right, that'll do it for us. Tomorrow night, the D-Man Dennis Maniloff. Thursday, it'll be Mary Kay Cabot. We'll see you then. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.